Hello, I'm back again. It's the 1st of May. My last video feedback kind of got me to thinking about talking a little more about myself. I'll start by saying that since my last video, I shared what I was listening to, still enjoying that, but also have moved on to right now getting heavily into some Dead Can Dance right now as well. And the contrast between this music and, say, for example, Killing Joke, which I really like the band. I have not had the money to follow all the bands that I like, and so that's one band that I have very little of, but I've always liked them a lot. But besides the Killing Joke and still heavily into Boris, this has been striking a deep chord with me. It always does. Some Eric Dolphy was on recently, but I thought the other thing I thought I would respond to, two things. I think it's so many things. Let me acknowledge you, Keith. You always say something very nice, not nice, but it's like vibe. You, another person that's recent, Dave, seem to, the videos seem to resonate with you on many different levels. So I'm shouting you folks out. Keith, Dave, Cosmic Drifter is always here. All you folks, bless you. But a newer watcher asked me a question. He asked a question and I answered it. Then he asked another question about what's the most commercial Genesis. And I just said I don't always answer, and I'm gonna say why, because I don't mean to be a prick, but it may come off that way, and that's just too bad, because this is my response. If a friend, or if I were in a conversation in person about music with someone, whether I knew them well or not, and they were to ask me a question such as, well, what's the most commercial Genesis? My response will be, well, does that question need to be answered? Why are you even asking it? All you got to do is go on the internet and look at some statistics and it'll tell you. Sales tell you what's the most commercial. Well, what does that have to do with the quality of the music? That's how I would answer it. So I didn't answer it, okay? So there's my answer. What does it matter? I really don't know why the question was answered. I really don't. What does it matter? I showed some books, and then a person asked me, are you in love with comic books? No. I did when I was a kid. I love music, but I'm kind of quite a bit of popular culture. I kind of stand outside of and protest, because what I like is the same thing as that, which is it is ultimately a big distraction that keeps me distracted from trying to become aware of how to change the world in a better way, which of course many adults will say, well, that's just some nerdy, stupid adolescent dream shit. But it thankfully hasn't died. So what I'm saying is, like, for example, this new Avengers movie, I'm not even interested. Have I seen the other Avengers movies and all the other Marvel movies? I think I saw most of them eventually online. But no, it's pretty much the same as my attitude towards organized sports, which is as much as it's a pastime and people get a lot out of it, it is also something that really keeps us dumb and keeps us in our place. So I wanted to share some other books in my collection that are still in my collection. Many of these I have not read in a long time, but I'm not into comic books, but I'm into information like Ayurveda, the science of self-healing. Back in the early 90s, I became a vegetarian. I'm not anymore. Instead, I became aware of Ayurveda through becoming exposed to Tibetan monks who came on tour through Omaha, raising money for the monastery. And I just learned so much, and I was able to manage an Ayurvedic diet for about 3 years. The results were real. A diet based on non-meat. I've experienced the difference in how I feel. It's a gradual over time that you notice it, and then when you go back to eating meat, I noticed it. Particularly aggression and anger. There's a difference, but this is real stuff, and Ayurveda works, and there are natural remedies that I've learned from here that I still use. A book that goes back to high school that was part of my original quest trying to understand the true nature of God, which we just can't know. But I got turned onto this book by Lobsang Rampa, Doctor from Lhasa. And it's a personal journey. I haven't read it in ages, but it's the documentation of a journey. And this man's journey opened up doors of perception for me. I never read Aldous Huxley, but that's another one. I read this book, The Imitation of Christ by Thomas A. Kempis. You ever read this book? This is an eye-opener, especially if you think you're a Christian. No, I'm not a Christian anymore. I'm not a this, that, or that. That is absolutely insane that we have to put a label on ourselves. It's for the benefit of other people. I don't need the label. Whatever created me doesn't need the label. Oh, I don't know that. So why put a label? How can I know? See how insane so much shit seems to me that a man believes? We can believe anything. This is a really good book that talks about living the values as opposed to following. Oh, yield my Savior. See, I'm onto that stuff. He said, do. Don't follow. Do it. Here's another one I haven't read in a long time that I had to study it, but it really helped me to, in a lot of ways. P.D. Uspensky, The Fourth Way. A big thing that these books helped me to solidify is the fact that I'm a human being and to not accept racism in any form and to fight the constant perception of the outside world of me as a black man as opposed to a human being. I fight that fight every day I leave this fucking house and go in public. This book really, really helped. A lucid explanation of the practical side of Gurdjieff's teachings. Another thing I came away from this stuff finally with is that I'm not a guru seeker. I have had friends in the past who were guru seekers thinking they needed to find the right teacher. Well, teaching is everywhere. And when I realized what the word guru actually means, just spell it out. G-U-R-U. All a decent teacher is going to help you do is to discover yourself. A bad teacher is going to chain you to them and make you follow them. And they'll use you. I'm glad I learned that. Ayurvedic cookbook. See, I use this. It's well thumbed. Keys to Great Enlightenment. Okay, I just thought I'd show you, okay? This is where I'm at. Not comic books. Open Heart, Clear Mind. Understanding Buddhist philosophy, not religion. Philosophy. Okay? And then, you ever seen this old-ass book? Some of my music books. I've got music books. The Illustrated Encyclopedia of Rock. I found a copy of this used, but when it first came out, it was a big deal. And everybody wanted it. This is so dated. So dated. There are so many artists on here who have completely dropped off the radar. Completely. Let me just find one right quick. So they've got people like Deep Purple, but right next to them they have Kiki D, John Denver, Sandy Denny, of course, those greats. But then, do you know about Tom Donahue? Do you know who he is? Leslie Duncan. Anybody remember Leslie Duncan? Elephant's Memory? Well, there's the Beatles connection. So this book is one of my rock books. I have the Krautrock Sampler, Julian Cope. Someone was asking me about Julian Cope books. You know, if you'd like me to have them, send them to me. I'd love to have them. I ain't lying, I live on my art. I'm not on Social Security yet. I'm just about to apply for it. So I live on nothing, okay? So if you want me to have the book, send them to me. Seriously, this is really happy to have this. It's, I don't know, the second, third edition. These are all worth money. I don't want to sell it. I love having it. I've tried to read this, the Popol Vuh, the Mayan Book of the Dawn of Life. And it's just strange, okay? Since I'm saying that, I think I'll try again to get going on this. I've had a real hard time comprehending this. And I have a bunch of Genesis books because I started collecting them as a teen. They were my heroes for a long time, for a number of reasons. So I have several Genesis books and Peter Gabriel books. And then someone gave me this book about the Dalai Lama. A simple monk. I could have become a monk, okay? So I'm into the philosophy, not religion. I say that because unless you are in complete denial, one of the biggest things that religion does is create war. What the hell does that have to do with anything holy? Okay? That's where I'm at today. That's what I want to talk. That's what I wanted to share with you.